You didn't wake up by accident at 3:33 a.m. The veil thinned, and something ancient leaned close enough to breathe your name into the dark. You felt it, the pressure in your chest, the quiet knowing that the suffering was never random. The test wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to reveal you. They thought you were finished. They mistook your silence for defeat, your patience for weakness. While they plotted in the shadows, heaven was watching the clock. And now the hour has struck. What ends tonight will never return. What begins next will terrify those who doubted you. But here's the truth they don't know yet. The throne was never empty, T was waiting. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why everything had to happen exactly this way. It happens in the quiet, not silence, but that heavy stillness where the world feels paused. 3:33 a.m. Your eyes are open, even if your body hasn't moved. Something inside you is awake. Alert. Listening. You don't know why you're conscious at this hour, only that sleep would be impossible now. The air feels different, charged, like the moment before lightning splits the sky. You sense it before you understand it. You're not alone. Not watched by enemies, not stalked by danger, but observed by something ancient, patient, deliberate. A presence that has seen every version of you. Every tear you swallowed. Every night you asked why progress always slipped away at the last second. Why doors opened just enough to tease you, then slammed shut. The exhaustion hits you all at once. Not physical, spiritual. The kind that comes from surviving too much without answers. You remember the laughter behind your back, the doubt disguised as concern, the people who benefited from your restraint and called it weakness. They're asleep now. Peaceful. Unaware that the timeline has shifted while they dreamed. And then it happens. Subtle. Almost invisible. A warmth in your chest. A knowing that doesn't ask permission from logic. No announcement. No fireworks. Just a quiet internal confirmation that lands heavier than proof. The delays weren't punishment. They were protection. If you had risen earlier, you would have shattered. At 3:33, the veil responds, and something inside you understands. The test is over. You don't know what comes next yet. You only know nothing will ever be the same. You start to see it now, though the realization stings. None of the pain was random. Every delay, every rejection, every night you questioned your worth was part of a curriculum hidden beneath the surface of your life. Lessons no book could teach. Lessons only endurance could carve into your spirit. You were forced to learn restraint when anger would have been easier. Discernment when trust felt natural. Strength when surrender looked like the only option left. Each betrayal refined you. Each loss stripped away illusions you would have carried onto the throne unprepared. Heaven wasn't cruel. It was precise. In the background, they played their roles perfectly. The doubters spoke softly but poisoned perception. The betrayers smiled while calculating advantage. From their third-person distance, they believed they were winning, climbing, advancing. They never realized they were teaching you what loyalty was not. They never noticed how their actions sharpened your intuition, how your silence became observation. This is where others failed. Many reached the same pressure point and compromised. They chose shortcuts, applause, comfort. You chose survival. Integrity. Waiting when everything in you screamed to act. That choice disqualified them and qualified you. The ache in your chest begins to shift. Pain turns into information. Memory becomes wisdom. You understand now why elevation kept postponing itself. Power without clarity would have destroyed you, or worse, turned you into them. Still, one question lingers, unresolved and heavy. If the training is complete, why do they remain so close? Why haven't they disappeared yet? The answer hasn't arrived. But it's coming. You can feel the air tightening, destiny holding its breath, because the final lesson will not be gentle, and it will demand that you watch everything unfold in real time. They decided your story ended in silence. From a distance, they watched you withdraw and wrote their own ending, one where you faded, stumbled, disappeared. In their third-person certainty, your quiet became proof. Proof that pressure finally broke you. Proof that patience was weakness. They celebrated without witnesses, convinced the threat had neutralized itself. You felt the urge to explain, to defend, to expose what they were doing behind closed doors. But something higher restrained you. Silence wrapped around you like armor. While they talked, you listened. While they rushed, you waited. Every insult sharpened your focus. Every rumor trained your emotional discipline. You weren't retreating. You were conserving. Behind smiles, they plotted. They divided credit, rewrote history, and spoke your name like a relic of something finished. They never noticed the shift in your posture, the calm replacing desperation. They didn't recognize the difference between surrender and strategy. This was their blind spot. They measured power by noise, not by alignment. They mistook invisibility for irrelevance. And in that miscalculation, they exposed themselves. Patterns emerged. Loyalties revealed cracks. Motives surfaced under pressure. You saw everything you needed to see. Then the door appeared. Not announced. Not forced. Just present. An opportunity forming quietly, outside their line of sight. You stood before it, heart steady, ego silent. No one applauded. No one warned them. They were too busy celebrating your absence to notice your elevation had already begun. You don't step through yet. You let the moment stretch. Because once you cross that threshold, they won't just realize you survived. They'll understand they helped prepare you. The silence thickens as fate leans closer, waiting for your decision to turn observation into irreversible motion and redraw the power map. Nothing announces itself when heaven moves. There is no warning tremor, no visible disruption. The shift happens quietly, like gravity realigning. You wake up and the weight you carried for years is lighter, not gone, but obedient. Circumstances begin to respond to you without resistance. Conversations flow differently. Doors that once demanded effort now open with ease. You stop chasing, and alignment starts approaching you instead. This is the preparation of the throne. Not gold or marble, but position. Influence. Authority rooted in clarity rather than force. You feel it settling into your spine, straightening you from the inside. Confidence replaces urgency. You no longer need to prove anything, you recognize yourself. That recognition is the key. From the outside, nothing seems dramatic. But your enemies feel it before they see it. Confusion creeps into their plans. Their certainty dissolves into irritation. They sense something slipping, control, relevance, leverage, but they can't identify the source. You are no longer reacting to their moves, and that unsettles them more than confrontation ever could. Heaven continues working behind the scenes. Connections rearrange. Old blockages dissolve without explanation. What once drained you now nourishes you. You notice how protected you feel, as if unseen hands are redirecting outcomes just enough to keep you untouched. Still, you remain silent. You don't announce your rise. You let the preparation complete. The throne isn't about dominance, it's about stewardship. And stewardship requires maturity they never cultivated. Then comes the confirmation. A sign. A message. A moment that lands with unmistakable weight. Your elevation will not stay hidden much longer. When it reveals itself, it will do more than reward you. It will expose them. You inhale slowly, aware that the final phase has begun. The silence tightens, the air charged with consequence, because what rises next won't ask for permission, and those who doubted you are about to become witnesses, whether they're ready or not. You don't lift a hand. You don't raise your voice. Justice doesn't need your participation anymore. It moves on its own, precise and unemotional, like a blade guided by truth. This is the part no one warned them about, the moment when karma stops being abstract and starts becoming visible. From a distance, you watch it unfold. The same shortcuts they used begin collapsing under their feet. Lies demand maintenance they can no longer afford. Alliances fracture. Confidence turns into defensiveness, then into panic. In third-person clarity, you see them scrambling, trying to control narratives that no longer listen. They search for you, not to reconcile, but to measure how much you know. You don't respond. What shocks them most is your calm. You're not celebrating. You're not retaliating. You're steady, grounded, elevated beyond the emotional reach they once had. Your success becomes a mirror they can't look away from. Every step you take forward reflects what they avoided, compromised, or betrayed in themselves. This isn't punishment. It's exposure. Life is simply returning energy to its source. The traits they used against you, arrogance, manipulation, impatience, now isolate them. Doors close. Trust evaporates. They're forced to sit with the consequences of who they chose to be when no one was watching. And still, you remain untouched. There's a release in your chest you didn't expect. Not joy, relief. You realize you never needed closure conversations or apologies. Watching truth surface organically is enough. The universe handled what you refused to contaminate yourself with. Yet even as justice unfolds, you sense it isn't finished. This was only the correction phase. One final shift remains, one that will place you unmistakably in your role and remove all doubt about who was chosen, who endured, and why the story could only end this way. The calm deepens. Something greater is approaching. You arrive without ceremony. No trumpet, no announcement, just recognition. The place you once begged for clarity now receives you in silence, as if it always knew you would return like this. You don't kneel anymore. You stand. Grounded. Certain. The throne was never about power over others. It was about mastery over self, and now it responds to you naturally. You feel the weight of the journey settle into wisdom. Every night you questioned yourself. Every time you almost gave up. Every moment you chose restraint over reaction. None of it was wasted. The crown fits because it was forged slowly, under pressure, shaped by integrity rather than applause. From afar, they finally understand. Not all at once. Some resist, some deny, but the truth is unavoidable. You didn't rise because you were favored. You rose because you endured without becoming bitter. Their role in your story is complete. They were never meant to follow you here. This altitude would have exposed them long ago. There is no triumph in your expression, only calm authority. You don't need revenge. You don't need validation. Your presence alone answers every question that once haunted you. You are no longer chasing signs. You are the sign. And yet, this isn't an ending. It's a threshold. From this position, you can see others still wandering in the dark, questioning delays, mistaking silence for abandonment. Your journey becomes a signal, a quiet permission for them to keep going. The final revelation settles gently but firmly. The test was never about proving your worth to the world. It was about proving to yourself that you could carry what was meant for you. You inhale. The air feels different up here. The throne holds steady beneath you, and the mission begins.